So I'm going to give a quick preview of last week's boxing and then move on to look at this week's boxing. So last weekend, obviously the notable action that happened was Caleb Plant losing to Resendez. For me, sometimes I do wonder if we put too much stock into when boxers are losing. People seem surprised sometimes that not every boxer can be Floyd Mayweather. Like, of course not every boxer is Floyd Mayweather. We don't expect every footballer to be Messi or Ronaldo. So sometimes the fights are going to lose. I guess obviously the disappointing thing was it wasn't lost in a 50-50 bout, but Caleb Plant was a big favourite to win. But I always think in boxing, when you're not up for a fight mentally, that does play a big part. Look at Fury versus Ngannou, for example. Fury is a much better boxer than Ngannou, but he didn't get up for the fight. He didn't have any fight footage to watch of Ngannou in a boxing ring, and he scraped a decision win over Ngannou. I think the same thing's happened here. No matter how much you say you're not going to overlook someone, he got stopped at 160. He's got Charlo in his mind. Again, probably not as much footage on Resendez because he's not been in very big fights. So I think Plant overlooked him. Probably had his eyes on Charlo, whether or not he liked to admit it. And I don't know. People say that he's had a lot of damage in his fights. His punch resistance was fine, wasn't it? He didn't go down, but he just looked a bit stiff. He looked stiff. He didn't look with it. He looked a bit inactive. That would be the thing I put it down to. I think inactivity. Dave Allen talks about it against Johnny Fisher. The only reason he could get the knockout in that second win was just the activity. He'd been in there before, so he knew when to find those shots. And this is something I've talked about for my concerns with Canelo and Crawford. Crawford's been up the ring so long. Like, I know he's a pound for pound great, but is he that great that he doesn't feel the effects of inactivity? Anyways, I'm going off topic. So yeah, obviously disappointing loss for Caleb Plant, but personally, I don't want to put too much stock into it. Not every fight's Floyd Mayweather. Sometimes you're going to lose. In my opinion, just make the Charlo fight anyway. It sort of makes sense. Charlo's not world level, is he? At the moment, at least. You know, he's come off a 2-year layoff and fought someone relatively unknown. That I would just make the fight anyway. I'd just write it off and say, look, bad night, give me Charlo, I'll be more up for that fight. As I said, I think it plays a big part. Look at Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero. I just don't think he was up for the fight. He had the Devin Haney rematch on his mind. I think getting up for a fight really plays a big part. One of my personal favourite boxers, Chris Smith, because he's from the same town as me. Shane McGuigan's talked about it in his career as well. When he underperforms was against nobodies. A lot of people turn up for the big fights. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of my thoughts on the Caleb Plant fight. I'm still a fan of Caleb Plant. I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not going to put too much shock into this loss. Look, bad night. I would just move on. I have a lot of respect for Caleb Plant because he always takes the hard fights. He's not ducking anyone. He's got a decent resume. Lost to Benavidez and Canelo, which is of course disappointing, but still I respect him for getting in there with everyone. So yeah, moving on to this weekend's boxing. Obviously, Fabio Wardley versus Justice Huni is on Saturday in Ipswich Stadium in the UK. Obviously, I was excited for the Fabio Wardley Gerard Miller fight because as much as I hate to admit it, because he's probably not a great role model, he's a good character, Big Baby Miller. You know, he's entertaining, he'll play the villain. He's got, you know, sort of that New York gangster swagger about him. So look, I was excited for that fight. The press conference was a bit mental, wasn't it? It was quite crazy, everything kicked off a bit. But Fabio Wardley stood his own, you know, even though Gerard Miller was saying that to him, you know, a diss track is the same as a death threat. But I thought Fabio held his own. But this fight still intrigues me. Obviously, Justice Huni is more of unknown than a Big Baby Miller, but from what I've seen of him and some of the previews I've seen, I think it'll be an interesting matchup. So, for me, some of the best qualities of Justice Huni: he's a good boxer. He's got really good hand speed. He puts his combinations together well. He's a good mover. He pivots around his opponents quite nicely. But I think for me, the biggest warning sign is he's a boxer. I think sometimes when he pits his combination punches together, it's because he might know that he's not got that one-punch power that some boxers do have. And stylistically, Fabio Wardley has always done well against other boxers. Look, Fraser Clark, he had all the amateur pedigree in the world. In that rematch, Fabio just had more hunger than him. He wanted it more. He's got better fighting instincts. He hits you to kill. When he hits, he'll hit you back even harder. It's very simple. He's a great fighter. And yeah, I do think this is going to be a good stylistic matchup for Wardley. We've seen him do well against boxers. Even Nathan Gorman was had a good amateur pedigree. Obviously the same with Fraser Clark. So obviously it's difficult because it's a bit more late notice and he'll have to switch his sparring partners around and stuff. But for my prediction, I would be predicting a late Fabio Wardley stoppage. I just think when I get to the later rounds, Fabio Wardley's got the dog in him. He's got the better fighting instincts. He's not scared to take a punch, to give a punch. Huni might not have the greatest one-shot power. So I think for my prediction, I would be saying a Fabio Wardley stoppage later in the fight, but Justice Huni might outbox him for a bit. And Justice Huni did show a lot of vulnerabilities against Zorena, who is better than people give him credit for, but, you know, he's a very small heavyweight. So I think I would be favouring Fabio Wardley, but I'm excited for the fight. And Justice Huni, look, maybe I am overlooking him. He has got some nice highlight reel work. He's clearly a good boxer. And I've heard lots of interesting stories about him. Like, apparently he was involved in like a drive-by, and then the next day he just turned up to sparring, which is pretty badass. So yeah, I don't want to write off Justice Huni, but if, you know, gun to my head, I was forced to make a prediction, I would be predicting Fabio Wardley in the later rounds. The last thing I wanted to talk about was there's also a boxer show on Saturday as well. Right, I know, I didn't know about it either. I just remembered about it just now, headlined by Callum Simpson, and Adam Azim is also on it. Look, I like Callum Simpson. I like the fact that he's doing everything the traditional way. He's going English, British, Commonwealth, European. We've seen that be successful in the past. For example, Chris Smith did exactly the same thing. It got him to a world title. So I do like Callum Simpson. I think he's a good fighter. Interestingly, he's actually bigger than Benavidez. I don't know if anyone saw the photo of them together, but yeah, he's huge, Callum Simpson. Yeah, I think he's charismatic. He's obviously got he's got a big fan base behind him. So yeah, I am a fan of him. And yeah, there are some big names in the 168 division. There's no one sort of taken it by storm. Obviously, I guess you think Canelo's on his way out. But obviously, you've got Hamza Shiraz, Blanga, Pacheco, probably the next three names. But even then, there's no sort of superstar yet. I feel like these guys are all still on their way up as well. Christian Mbili. So yeah, I definitely feel like there's someone who can take the 168 division by storm and really, you know, like take it by the scruff of the neck and just take it as their own. So yeah, I'm excited for that fight, but it is bad timing because I will be watching the Fabio Wardley fight. You know, I find his fights very entertaining, so yeah, I'll be tuning into that and not the Callum Simpson fight. Yeah, just quickly, I wanted to speak on Boxer as well. Obviously, Ben Shalom's more new to the management game, and I do think he's got a decent stable, right? He's got Chris Smith, he's got Ben Whitaker, he's got Chris Eubank Jr. So he's got some decent names, but I do think he's been guilty of mismanaging some people before. I don't think he's managed Bacoli very well. Look, I guess it was probably Bacoli's decision to take that Parker fight, but I don't see Eddie Hearn letting AJ take that fight. You know, I think Eddie Hearn, no matter how much AJ begs and pleads him, I think Eddie Hearn's got the know-how just to say, look, no, don't take it. You're on 3 days notice. You're going to be jet lagged. You're going to be tired. You're out of shape. You're out of camp. I think Eddie Hearn would have shut that down. So I think Ben Shalom was a little bit experienced into letting Bacoli take the fight against Parker. But look, obviously, I'm just speculating. I don't know all the behind-the-scenes stuff. And, you know, as I said, that is life-changing money for Bacoli. So it's easy for me because I sat behind the camera. But I just thought I would give my thoughts on Ben Shalom. But yeah, I do see Sky Sports Boxing going down a little bit. Like, Ben Whitaker doesn't fight enough for him to be a big star. Yeah, they've got Callum Smith and Chris Eubank Jr., but these guys aren't that regular fighters either. So, yeah, personally, I think the Zone is the place to be for boxing fans. I do think Ben Shalom's got a bit of work to do, but he has had a few big wins recently. Anyway, so yeah. Guys, nice sum up on this week's boxing. A bit of a look back, a bit of a preview to this weekend's boxing. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.